Talk. I am your host, Dr. Shirley. I want to thank everyone for joining us again here at Harmon Talk, where our motto is, live your dreams, not your fears. All too often, we think that the stories of the rich and famous are the only stories that matter. That is not the case. The stories of everyday people such as you and myself, those stories are important. The stories and the lives that we live can have a positive impact on so many people. And today, I have with me an amazing person with an extraordinary story that will have an amazing impact on so many lives today. I would like to introduce to you my sister, Miss Bessie Smith. Hello, Bessie.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine. How are you? And
I'm better now that I'm settled.
okay. She is joining us via Zoom. She currently lives in Ohio. So, hello, beautiful. How are you doing today?
Actually doing pretty good today.
Well, that is good. I am number 4 of 12, and Bessie is number 7 of 12. We have 7 girls and 5 boys. Now, Bessie just missed the cutoff of the first 6, which is the good group. So she's part of the other 6. So that is a running joke that we have in our family. What's your opinion about that?
My mother said that I'm part of the good group.
And
Just because my name is on that second row, my picture on that second row, she said I'm part of the good group. She said she'll know what happened to the rest of them. So.
What that means is that with 12 children, we're kind of divided into the first 6 and the second 6. The way that I remember it is that, with the first 6, there were so many different rules and things that were put in place. But by the time the second group came along, Mama was tired. And so therefore, a lot of the things that we didn't get away with, you guys got away with, and you got to experience a lot more things than what we did. But all in all, everybody was a part of the amazing family. So we won't even go with the good group and the other group. We're going to let you in on this group, on this side.
So I'm on the other side?
You're going to be on the other side.
All right.
Well, for today. So.
Okay.
But I do want to give you an opportunity to just tell us a little bit about yourself before I bombard you with a lot of questions.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I now live in Ohio. I live in, Cleveland, Ohio. And actually, I ended up here because I came with my husband, Michael, and we've been here for Jennifer's 22. We've been here for 23 years. I've been with my husband for, it'll be 34 years in December. So, hey.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not even sure where to kind of start other than saying where I am now. Do you want to tell me where? Because I got a lot to say. I'm just trying to figure out where you want to go.
Hey, we can go anywhere you want to go.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
I was born in a house and by no.
Well, I tell you about this. How about this? Remember when we were on Family Feud?
Yes.
Now, for the audience that you may not know, our family was recently on Family Feud, the Phillips family. So if you get an opportunity, Google us on Family Feud, the Phillips family. You can actually see excerpts of the episodes. We were on 3 days. And when we were on Family Feud, a lot of the stuff that we talked about and the jokes and things that happened, a lot of those things got edited out. So people won't see some of the amazing things that actually happened on the show.
Yes.
But one thing was they were asking us to say something about ourselves. And when they got to you, you were saying that you didn't have anything to say.
Mhm.
And so, and at that time, I reminded you about all of the things that you have done and that you are involved in.
Yes.
And I think all too often, we sell ourselves short on the things that we have accomplished because we feel like it's stuff that we just do. And we don't want to be in the spotlight. We don't raise our hand and cheer Hercules, Hercules, but it's just things that we do. But the things that you do are important and it's a part of you, and you have had a tremendous impact on a lot of lives.
Yes.
So I'll go through and I'll ask you about a little bit of that so that we can bring out some of those things that you have contributed to the world, because you have had a positive impact on a lot of people. You are a military veteran.
Yes.
So how many years have you served in the military?
When I graduated in 1988, I went straight into the military for 5 years. I was in the Army. I was a helicopter mechanic, and I say that to people, they're like, "What?" I was like, "Yes." And I enjoyed it, and that's where I met Michael. Like I said, I was in the military for 5 years, and then in the Army, and then actually, when I got out of the Army, I did 3 years with the Air Force National Guard.
Right.
But it was like one of those things. It was still the military. I said, "Oh, okay, I can deal with this." My thinking back when I first graduated, I was like, I didn't want to go to school, so I needed to do something, and I was like, it's a good starting point. And one of the things that looking back, kind of misses that camaraderie that you get from some of the people that you've been through a lot with. And you still talk to a few of those people off and on, even now, 30 years later.
Right.
But that's one of the things I kind of, I'm not gonna say I miss, but I remember about being in the military.
Right. And when you say that you decided to do the military after high school, because in our family, you had a few choices. You could do the
Yes.
military, you could go to school, or you could go to work. And those were your options. So you chose the military. I chose to go ahead and to go ahead and start school, because my thing was I was not ready for a full-time job. So
That was the opposite. I was ready for a job.
Exactly. Yes. And so the thing is that everybody has different things that they're looking to do right out of high school. And then you start to mature and you change. Like you were in the Army first, and then you went into the Air Force Reserves, and then you started going to college. And then what did you major in college?
When I went to college, when I first started, my initial thought I was gonna be an elementary school teacher. I was gonna teach the little kids. But when I started taking my psychology courses, I was like, oh, I like this. It was the kind of idea of the brain and how it works and all of that. And so the school that I was, Armstrong State, they had a program where if I get my degree in psychology and take some extra education courses, I could teach special ed for behavior disorders. So that's where I started. And I love my job.
That's good.
When you hear about people, you teach special behavior disorders, and I was like, yeah. It was just one of those things. It's part of it was trying to help the kids and realizing that they had these problems, but they can still learn.
Yes.
So that was, looking back, it was kind of the challenge of trying to figure out, all right, you're gonna learn something today. And I think about Kevin Hart, you're gonna learn something today.
Right.
But it was kind of, even when they're having these issues and what's going on at home, and they can't sit still, they want to use some inappropriate language, they want to fight, and it was that whole point of, all right, well, building that kind of that relationship with them in the classroom, that there was time to actually teach them. And it was also trying to help them on those behaviors, which is kind of where the psychology piece that I kind of enjoy, trying to help them with that. And it was the challenge. It don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy, but I loved it when I first started. I love that and being in that position.
And that is their safe place.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of the times the kids that I get, well, because they don't come, the issues don't come from nowhere.
Right.
They have to come in. Where the kid in my early elementary, the only other place they've been is home.
Right.
So by the time they get to me and they're having all of these issues, and so I'm just trying to get them, at a place where they're comfortable enough that they will learn. And then they start telling you a lot of the things that they're going through. So it's like, so this is a safe place, but wow. I would listen to my kids talk, and I'm talking about my whole career, but part of when I first started was that I come from, where we come from. We come from a small town. We were not rich. You didn't realize that you were poor at the time, but we did not realize
We
that.
were not
And
poor. We were
no,
po.
Po. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
But
We were,
anyway, go ahead.
and realizing that these kids had things so much, they were so hard, that things that they are going through. I had a great life
Right.
when growing up, and compared to seeing what they were going through, I was like, well, I can be able to help them with something, but wow.
Wow.
And I realized that, okay, I was blessed.
Right.
Even being poor, I was blessed, but I still wanted to be able to help these kids.
Right.
Even now, what's funny is that I still look back and see some of the memories of some of the things that they would do, and it's like, okay, all right, you got it, you got it, you got it.
Isn't it amazing when you see the light bulb come on?
Yes.
And they realize that they can control some of their emotions and that they can learn. That's the best part of it when it comes to education, that they get it and you start to see them thrive and learn.
And the good and bad part about that, and this is something another teacher I was talking about a couple of years ago. She was like, yeah, but a lot of times you don't get to see that end product. It's like you started that process when they were younger, and you started seeing that change. And if they kept going. So a lot of times you don't get to see the end product, and you have to take the joys out of what you could do then.
Right.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Right.
And so that was one of the things, because you see the stories of these like students coming back and, oh, I remember you. And I'm thinking, yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah.
But it's like trying to feel like those little things matter. And I was part of those little things.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And it mattered. And it mattered. And sometimes it's like you said, the little things, it's the small things. Just showing them that you care, that you're interested. They're not interested in you being their buddy. Nope. They are interested in that you care enough to work with me to try to get me to learn. And they remember those things. And so that's why they come back, because they want you to know that, you were a part of this. So you may not get to see it often, but when you do get to see it, I know the joy is overwhelming. I definitely know that. But I also know that being involved in special education, you have also taken that to a new level as well. So you have recently taken on a new career. And so it just goes to show that how we may start in one place when it comes to our profession, but that doesn't mean that that's where we have to finish and that's where we have to continue. It's a learning process where we grow and we tend to move on. Sometimes you just outgrow positions and you have to move on to the next level. So what is the next level that you are currently taking on?
Well, the next level, actually, one of the reasons I went into counseling. And one of the reasons why was because a lot of my kids were, receiving counseling services. And I was like, they're not getting, I didn't feel like they were getting what they needed.
Right.
And so I went in, I started I take that back. I didn't start right off. I kept thinking about it, right? And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then at some point I was like, you know what? Why am I waiting? So I started working on getting my master's in clinical mental health counseling. It's like a long title, but I started that, and then it was like, okay, I can help them in a different space. And a lot of the times it's still one of those things. The only thing that, if I had to say there's a drawback to it, is that a lot of times agencies, or I don't want to say agencies, is that there's still a time frame with them too. Now, when I have them as a teacher, I may have them for 2 or 3 years and they're gone again. But even with this, sometimes there's still that 2 or 3 years, but then they don't always get everything fixed. But it's like I'm trying to, not that I'm going to fix them, just to help them.
Right.
And when they leave me, sometimes I'm wondering if I helped them enough.
Right.
And so that's one of my concerns. If I helped them enough, then I have to realize, did I help them?
Right.
Goes back to what that teacher told me. She's like, you may not see it, but if you know, she's like, if you're faithful in what you're doing, you're going to help them.
Yes. And as long as you are giving 100% and you're dedicated to helping to improve the life of a child, then that is all you can do at that point. The rest of it doesn't belong to you. Those are the things that we have to turn over to God and hope that when those children are out of our sight and that we don't see them, that they are being taken care of. So we definitely have to trust that. That was a process that I definitely had to learn through the years dealing with education.
And one of the things, as far as going, even with the counseling, kind of still back with helping my kids in special ed. So maybe that's kind of where I am. I don't mean to sound like I'm fixing it, but it's like they're broken children. That's, I guess, where I gravitate towards, helping kids that need that extra support that the average kid doesn't get. And so that's kind of where I am and still am for right now. And seeing that changes, like, for myself, it's like I was working within the schools. Right now I'm in a little bit of a transition, trying to figure out, because I'm sorry, let me back up. I actually am now an independent licensed therapist. So now I can do it on my own. I don't have to have anybody supervise me doing that.
Good for you.
I'm getting in the back of my mind, transitioning again,
Right.
maybe working with some adults and children, but actually looking at some point later, doing some contracting. So that way I can specifically work with the group that I want to work with.
Okay.
So it's like you say, it's a process.
It's a
We're changing.
process. It is a process, and the opportunities are limitless.
Yeah.
And so, but you're still working with people that are in need.
Yes.
And that's your passion.
Yes.
So be with children and possibly with adults as well. Your passion is to help those people that are in need. And you know that you're needed. You're always going to be needed.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how much. Thinking back again about the group that I work with, is these kids have been through so much, and the ones that I work with now, I'm seeing, I mean,
it's heartbreaking.
Yes, that's the best way. That's how to put it. It's heartbreaking. And when I finally get them to kind of open up, and then they're seeing that it's not your fault.
Right.
This is something that we can go from here. And it's like, oh, like, yeah, oh. So
now with everything that you have done and that you are doing, you have also had some health problems as well.
Yes.
So the first thing I want to ask you, well, the first thing I do want to ask you about is breast cancer. That was the first thing. Can you actually go through and tell us when you first found out that you had breast cancer? What was that like emotionally? What was that like?
It threw me. I'll be honest, I can tell you it was August 26, 2018. I was in my car. It was a Friday afternoon. I was one of those people, I would religiously get a mammogram. It was like, okay, I'm scheduled, August is typically, I was always in August, right before I went back to school, I would get my mammogram. Well, this one time when I went, it was a different person doing it. I had always had the same, for about 6 or 7 years, the same woman was doing my mammogram. So when they gave me a call back, when they said to find out some information, I was like, this person done screwed up my mammogram. That was my first thought.
Right.
And then a little bit later, I actually was calling, and the doctor that I was supposed to talk to, they went on vacation. Now, mind you, this is a Friday.
Right.
When I'm calling, I said, well, somebody needs to tell me something. And a few more phone calls, and then I got a phone call when I was in my car on the way home. I remember on 26th, I was coming home from work, and she was like, she didn't want to tell me over the phone. I said, well, I'm not waiting till Monday. I said, you need to tell me something now. And she did say that they found a nodule on my right breast, and that it looked to be cancer. I was like, well, okay. And I was like, what? Well, and I mean, honestly, when I was in the car, I didn't know what to say. And so I was like, okay. And so by the time I got home, though, they had already scheduled. And this is one thing I was kind of ticked off at the doctor that kind of that had this information for 2 to 3 days and didn't get back to me. He was supposed to get to me,
right,
and talk to me. But once this woman got on, she started taking care of things for me right off the bat. She got me scheduled for my, coming in to see the doctor, counselor if I wanted, social. I mean, a whole bunch of things like right off the bat. I will give Cleveland Clinic their due. When they do it right. I blame that doctor for that one. But it was like, the first person I called was like Michael, and I didn't want to tell him on the phone either. Like, they didn't want to tell me, but I was like, I didn't know what to say. And I told him. He was like, what? And so he actually he went home, and I went home, and I met him there, and it was like, whoa. And so, and I think at one point I was like, well, we needed to, I had to get what they call get an actual biopsy. And that they determined that it truly was cancer. And so that's, I think when I called, like, Mike was like, you need to call all your family, let them know what's going on. I was like, I just need to get, he's like, no, your family needs to know. I said, okay, you're right. So they're going back to that. You don't want to
you don't want
bother
it,
people, or whatever
right?
the case
And
may
plus,
be.
you're not one big on calling anyway. But that's another story. Okay, go.
But it was, I honestly, thinking back, it was one of those things of not knowing how to feel,
Right.
like what's going to happen. But then when I did, we finally got everything in process, and that luckily I had a lumpectomy. So essentially, they went in, they took it out, took out some lymph nodes as well, and they put me on since it was what they call estrogen sensitive, thinking that the estrogen was like what kind of contribute to the development of it. So I didn't have to go through chemo. So that was one of the good things.
That's a blessing.
Yes, it is. And so I did have to go to radiation, though. And somebody was like, you went through radiation? I was like, yeah. I said, like, for 2 months, I went at least once a week. So, yeah. When did you go? I was like, yeah. I told her that, I mean, there was just a teacher that was in the building that I was in, but she wasn't one of the ones I talked to. So she didn't know.
Right.
But I went through all of that, and was it officially I was cancer-free when they took the note out, but I took my, was it 2 years ago? At 5 years, they was like, my doctor said, all right, I can say officially you're cancer-free. I was like, thank you. That's all I needed to hear. Because I'm no longer on any medications or any, like, what do you call maintenance medication or anything. But I make sure I set up my mammograms, and I go see her once a year. I tell her nothing personal, but I don't want to see you no more. She was like, that's all right with me.
But just recently also, you actually had some tests done.
For a couple, and I don't know why I would get this cough, and they couldn't figure out what it was. About 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, I had a cough, and then we went through the chest X-rays, the nasal things, the scope down my throat. We went through everything. They couldn't figure out what it was, and then it just stopped. Well, put it this way, I think it stopped because you hear things like somebody's like they had a Nuva ring and they had it removed. They stopped coughing. I'm like, yeah, right. But at the time, that was my birth control at the time. So I stopped that and it went away.
Okay.
But they still didn't think that was it. But I'm like, I said it could just in the back of my mind, hormones, my body changing. It could be some of anything.
Right.
Well, it started again in November and couldn't figure it out. But then it got so bad to the point that I developed nodes on my vocal cords.
And that was a bad cough. I mean, it was a cough that just continue, like almost about to lose your breath. I guess you did lose your breath.
Yeah.
It was bad. Yes.
Me up at night.
Right.
And people sound like I'm coughing up a lung.
Yes.
And it's like, and to be honest, I almost felt embarrassed because, you feel like people are looking at you. It's like you think I'm sick and trying to spread my germs to everybody, but it wasn't that because I didn't have anything.
Right.
So, but yeah, and so that we finally figured, well, what the official, if you want to call it diagnosis, was because I did have a rhinovirus at one point, and the doctor seems to think that triggered a response with my nerves.
Okay.
So the nerves go down to all the way down to my vocal cords and whatnot, and it has me coughing. And so they did the block for 3 months, and that I noticed the difference. I was like, okay.
Yes.
So the cough lessened. As of Monday, the nodes have started to go. They've gone not totally away, but they're away. They're going away. And thinking that getting rid of the cough, you get rid of the lows. So no surgery.
There you go, girl. Hey, you are blessed and highly favored. But the thing is that you're a good person. And not just saying that because you are my younger sister, not just saying that because you look like me.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. And I see it. You look just like me. But I think sometimes we need to be reminded, or you need to be reminded, like all of us at times, that of how special you are and the gifts that you have and that kind heart that you have, where your heart is designed and created to just overflow with love and to help as many people as you can. And that is what you do. And sometimes we don't recognize it ourselves because it's just stuff that you do. But I want you to know that it's recognized. The people around you, we see it. That's one of the things that we love about you, is that you are a good person. And if anybody needs anything, of course, you're one of the first person we're gonna pick up the phone and we're gonna call. And sometimes it may take you a couple of days to call us back.
But I eventually
but you do. I keep joking with you about that, but
but you're not the only one that has said that. So.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So that means that it's not just me.
No, it's not.
But that is good to hear. And also, I want to talk to you about family. Because for us, family is important.
Yes.
Now, our father died when we were young. But now our mom died a few years ago. But the family unit is still strong.
Yes.
Because she left that foundation there for us. So with you and your family, so what is it that you actually do with your family or take from our family to keep your family unit strong?
I don't know if I can pinpoint it other than to say I talked to him. One of the things that I actually was thinking about the other day is that, and it's been so, why would I even think about it now, is that I missed a conversation talking with mama. I miss not being able to call, even if you don't talk for a minute, to call on the phone, because
Yeah.
she would call and hang up. She ain't leaving a voicemail.
Right. She wouldn't leave a voicemail. No.
She would never leave a voicemail.
Never.
But is that conversation. Not saying we have an in-depth conversation all the time, but it's the fact that I do make a point of, all right, I ain't heard from you in a minute. Somebody need to call.
Right.
Even if, and I don't want to say I'm passing on a bad habit, but sometimes Miss Jennifer don't call back, but she does. But I talk to them. I actually let them, and honestly, I let them know I'm proud of them, because I think for a minute, you kind of wonder about, are they going to do, or what are they going to do? Because you have this idea in your mind, they're going to go to college, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. You have plans in your head of what you want for them,
Right.
but they don't do what you want.
Yeah.
And so then it's like I had to, all right, step back and realize that, all right, I raised my girls to be, strong women. Like mama raised a lot of strong, hey, 7 strong girls right there.
Right.
And
And great young men.
yes. And so because I had 2 girls, and it was like, I wanted to make sure that they could take care of themselves, and they can.
Right.
They can. And one of the things that they make a point of telling me is that they joke with other people like, Michael and Bessie ain't gonna let it happen. Michael and Bessie ain't gonna do that. Oh no. Michael and Bessie would not have that. I was like, yeah, you're right. I said, I know my kids are not perfect, but there are some things I know will not happen.
Right.
And that's kind of like with my mama, there's some things you did not do.
There were some things that you did not do, and there were some things that you did not come to her and ask to be done, because you knew that was
Yeah.
not going to happen,
Yep.
because she was about business. And if it was not about bettering yourself or the people around you, then in her words, that's foolishness.
Yes, that's
Yes, in her
yes.
words, it was foolishness, and she did not tolerate foolishness.
Food. Yep.
So
Um,
definitely, I can see that in your family. The family unit is
mhm.
strong, and you're right about being able to talk to her. I mean,
Yeah.
almost every day or every other day. And you're
Mhm.
right, it wasn't a lot of long conversations, but you would just call and just be able to talk to her every day. And it is something that I miss.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
miss being able to do that, and the wisdom that she shared. But that lives in us.
Yeah.
It lives in us, and the things that you do. And sometimes you don't realize it until you're talking with your kids and you're like, wow,
I
I have
sound like
become
me.
my mom.
I like my mom. Yeah.
I
That's
have
exactly
become
what
my
it is.
mom. And so I am raising my kids with some of the same values. Sometimes you think you're going to do things different. Yeah,
Yes.
you think you're going to be the new and improved version. I'm going to do something different. But then you find yourself reaching back to those same values that you learned, because those
You didn't.
values were good enough for you when you were being raised.
Yep.
And remember when you said that we were poor? But one thing that we come to realize is that poverty does not mean dysfunction.
No.
And
No.
it does not. Poverty does not mean neglect.
Nope.
So
Because we were.
poverty just means that you may not have as much and you may have little, but you
Mhm.
do the best with what you have to make sure that your family is productive.
Mhm. That's exactly, yes. And
Yes.
she did.
And so, and
Yeah.
a lot of people, especially with our audience that are listening, we want you to realize that your circumstances of where you come from and currently what you have, that does not have to define where you are going, because there is so much that you can accomplish. It's all about the hard work and dedication that you are willing to put in to it to determine what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah. Because one of the is like when you going along those same lines is like I and this is based off of what you said before, that we've accomplished things and that we don't realize it.
Right.
Um, Looking back, it's like, yeah, oh my God, I went to America. I'm 85 in that little time. I did that. I did all these things. I worked on the aircraft, and people are, yeah. I have helped a lot of children.
Yes.
And it's not even, and it's like I can't even put my finger on it. And I'm not saying, oh God, I'm some Messiah. It's just the fact I know I've done something, and I'm proud of that. But I need to start being proud out loud. Does that make sense?
Sometimes it's okay to pat yourself on the back.
Yes.
Sometimes it is okay to pat yourself on the back because sometimes other people aren't going to do it.
Alonzo's my pastor, and she probably don't even remember. She did a sermon years ago. She said one of the things is like for you, like about yourself. If you don't say it, anybody else, no one else is gonna say it. Something as simple as like what she said, people walk around here pouting about anybody tell them happy birthday. Did you tell anybody it was your birthday?
Right.
It was like, you have to tell people things that are going on. It's like you want people to just recognize it. Well, some people don't recognize.
Right.
And I don't know. And to be fair, I don't need the recognition. Like I'll be honest, a little while ago when you was talking about it, it's like that kind of embarrassment. It's like, okay, thank you. But it's like, you're right. You gotta, why not?
Why not? And it's okay to work in silence.
Yeah.
It is okay to work in silence because especially while you're doing it, that's the best way to work is to work in silence while you're doing it. But at the same time, sometimes in order to show people the way and how they can be better, they have to know how you got to where you are and the things that you have done to bring other people up. Because if they don't know, they can't duplicate it.
Yes.
If they don't know, they might not be able to see that whole process. Some of us have to see it or to know that it can be done in order to be able to go through it ourselves. So It's okay to work in silence, but sometimes it's okay to toot your own horn.
Yeah.
So for you, I say, toot, toot.
I'm not always good at it, but yeah.
Yes. Well, I want you to know that I am extremely proud of you.
Thank you.
You
And I'm
have.
proud of you too.
Well, thank you.
It's like I'm seeing you doing things. I was like, okay, it's my sister.
I'm trying to do a little bit. I am so proud of you, the things that you have accomplished, the things that you are currently accomplishing, and I am looking forward to the amazing things that you are going to do in the future. And we're going to have you back here on Harmon Talk.
Yes.
So that you can let us in on the next phase. Yes, the next phase of what you're going to do because you keep leveling up.
Yes. That's the goal.
That's right. That's the goal.
And you know what's funny is thinking back there, and I don't know if we're thinking back, I didn't even have a specific long-term goal. I just wanted to help. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And that's admirable.
Some people always want that, like they got the goal in mind. And honestly, at the time, there was no long-term goal. Right. I just know that I wanted to do this. And then I wanted to do this. And then I wanted to do that. So it's like you said, the progression and things that you change. So there was no specific goal other than I wanted to honestly do good work. That's the best way to put it.
And when you put in the work, the rest will come. So there you go. Put in the work and the rest will come. But I want to thank you for joining Harmon Talk.
Thank you. And thank you for being patient with me.
Oh, you have been a wonderful guest. And like I said, we're going to have you back here on Harmon Talk because your story has been so inspiring to so many people, to let people know that it's okay to move forward. It's okay to level up. And it's okay to dream and to dream big and move on to the next level because they are capable of amazing things. And to not sell yourself short. Too many of us are doing that. Do not sell yourself short. So thank you, my sister. You know I love you.
No, I love you too.
But thank you for joining us here on Harmon Talk. I am your host. Hold on. What
I want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
I was just joking. I want to be like my big sister doing big things. So that's what I'm doing.
I love it.
Okay.
So in conclusion, I would like to say thank you to everyone for joining us here on Harmon Talk. Please remember to like and subscribe to Harmon Talk on whatever platform that you're listening to us on. And remember, we upload our episodes every second and fourth Sunday. We look forward to hearing from you. See you soon.